Lying awake knowing you wasted another day, even though you promised yourself tomorrow would be different, is one of the loneliest feelings you can experience. You know the weight in your chest, the quiet thoughts that refuse to stop, the ceiling above you growing darker while your mind keeps replaying old mistakes and worrying about what might happen next. By the time you finish listening, you will understand how to quiet that endless inner noise, plant a new belief deep inside your subconscious, and wake with a calmer mind that naturally begins making different choices. It starts with discovering the one voice you have trusted for far too long, a voice that has quietly been shaping every day of your life without you even realizing it. Chapter 1. You have been listening to the wrong voice. The room is dark. Your phone screen is the last light you see before you put it down. You replay the day one more time, the meeting where you stayed quiet, the message you never sent, the chance you almost took but talked yourself out of. Then a familiar voice begins to speak. It tells you that you waited too long. It says other people know something you do not. It reminds you of old mistakes, as if they happened an hour ago. You close your eyes hoping for peace, yet that voice keeps talking until sleep finally wins. You probably know that voice very well. It sounds honest because it has been with you for years. It speaks in your own tone. It knows your memories. It knows your fears. Because it sounds like you rarely question it. You simply believe it. The strange part is that the loudest voice inside your mind is not always the wisest one. Volume is not the same as truth. Repetition is not the same as reality. Many thoughts survive only because they have been repeated so many times that they feel familiar. Familiar thoughts become familiar feelings. Familiar feelings become familiar choices. Over time, those choices begin to shape your life. This is how people slowly build a future they never wanted. Not because they lacked talent, not because life was unfair every single day. They built it one quiet thought at a time. Every small decision was guided by an old voice that never stopped asking them to stay where they already were. Psychology has studied this for many years. Your brain is designed to protect you before it helps you grow. It watches for danger. It remembers pain more easily than success. It keeps old patterns because old patterns once helped you survive. Even if those patterns now hold you back, your mind may still treat them like trusted friends. That is why fear often sounds reasonable. It rarely shouts. It whispers careful advice. Stay quiet. Wait another week. Do not disappoint anyone. Do not risk looking foolish. These thoughts feel responsible, yet they slowly teach you to live inside invisible walls. There is another layer beneath this. Many people call it the subconscious. It quietly stores the beliefs you accepted long ago. Some came from childhood. Some came from failure. Some came from people who spoke carelessly around you. The subconscious does not spend much time deciding whether a belief is helpful. It simply repeats what has been practiced. Think of it as a steady signal beneath your daily thoughts. Every choice you make either strengthens that signal or changes it. Every time you agree with a limiting belief, the signal grows stronger. Every time you respond differently, even in a small way, a new signal begins to form. Some people speak about the universe responding to your frequency. Others explain it through psychology. These ideas may sound different, yet they often point in the same direction. The thoughts you feed most often influence what you notice, how you feel, and how you act. When your inner world changes, your outer world begins to move in new ways because you start making different decisions. You notice opportunities you once ignored. You speak with more calm. You stop expecting rejection before it happens. The problem is not that you have negative thoughts. Every person does. The problem begins when you treat every thought as a command. A thought arrives. You obey it without question. Another thought arrives. You obey that one too. Before long, your life is being directed by passing mental weather instead of quiet intention. There is a voice beneath all that noise. It does not rush. It does not insult you. It does not demand perfection. It speaks with surprising calm. You may notice it after the first wave of fear passes. It often asks simple questions. Is this actually true? What if I tried anyway? What small step feels honest right now? That voice is easy to miss because it refuses to compete with panic. You strengthen that quieter voice through attention. Whatever receives your attention grows. Whatever is ignored slowly becomes weaker. This is true for habits. It is true for relationships. It is also true for the conversations happening inside your own mind. The first thing you can do starts tonight. Before you sleep, sit somewhere quiet for 5 minutes. Do not reach for your phone. Take a slow breath in through your nose. Breathe out even more slowly. Then write down the loudest negative thought that keeps returning. Use the exact words you hear inside your mind. Under that sentence, write one question. Is this always true? Do not answer quickly. Simply leave the question there. You are teaching yourself that thoughts can be examined instead of obeyed. When you wake tomorrow, avoid checking messages for the first 10 minutes. Sit upright. Place both feet on the floor. Say one sentence out loud. I choose the voice that helps me grow. Speak slowly. Not because magic happens through repeating words, but because your brain pays attention to what you deliberately practice. Then choose one action you have been avoiding. Keep it small. Send one email. Make one phone call. Spend 10 focused minutes on an important task. Action teaches the mind what belief alone cannot. During this week, begin listening for patterns instead of individual thoughts. Carry a small notebook or use a simple note app. Every time the same limiting message appears, write one short phrase. Maybe it says you are not ready. Maybe it says you always fail. Maybe it says people will judge you. Do not fight the thought. Just record it. At the end of the week, count how many times each message appeared. You will notice something important. Most of your inner criticism is repetitive. It is not fresh wisdom. It is an old recording playing on schedule. Once you recognize the recording, create one clear response for each pattern. If the old thought says you are too late, answer with, I can begin today. If it says you are not good enough, answer with, I improve through practice. Keep the response short. Your goal is not to argue for 20 minutes. Your goal is to interrupt the automatic cycle before it controls your next decision. You may wonder whether such small actions really matter. They do because your subconscious learns through repetition more than intensity. A single dramatic moment feels powerful, but quiet daily practice creates lasting change. Every time you pause before believing an old fear, you place another small stone on a different path. There is also something peaceful that happens when you stop treating every uncomfortable feeling as an emergency. Anxiety often demands immediate action. It says solve everything now. Fix your future before breakfast. Prove your worth today. But life does not require constant urgency. Some answers appear only after the mind becomes quiet enough to notice them. The universe, however you understand it, does not need you to force every outcome. It responds more naturally when your actions and your inner state begin to agree. If you say you trust life but spend every hour expecting disaster, your attention stays fixed on disaster. If you steadily choose calmer thoughts and honest effort, your attention slowly shifts toward possibility. This is not about pretending problems do not exist. It is about deciding which voice deserves your loyalty. A woman named Sarah spent years wanting to apply for a new position at work. Every month she found another reason to wait. She told herself she needed one more course, one more year of experience, one more sign. One evening she noticed that the same sentence had appeared in her mind for months. Someone else is more qualified. Instead of accepting it, she wrote it down. Then she asked whether it was always true. She could not honestly say yes. The next morning she spent 30 minutes updating her resume. 2 days later she submitted the application. She did not know if she would get the position. She only knew she had stopped obeying the old voice. Even before hearing the result, something inside her changed. She walked differently because she had chosen action over automatic doubt. That shift is available to you as well, not because your life will suddenly become perfect, not because every fear disappears overnight. It happens because each time you refuse to hand control to an old pattern, you become a little more present, a little more steady, a little more free. You do not need to silence every negative thought. That is not the goal. The goal is to recognize which voice deserves your trust. One voice is built from old fear and repeated habit. The other is built from quiet awareness and steady choice. The more often you choose the second voice, the less power the first one holds. There will still be difficult mornings, there will still be unexpected setbacks, there will still be moments when doubt returns with surprising strength. None of those moments erase your progress. They simply give you another opportunity to decide which voice will guide your next step. Tonight, when the room becomes quiet and the familiar thoughts begin to appear, do not argue with them and do not run from them. Listen carefully. Notice which voice keeps you small. Notice which voice calls you toward calm action. Then choose the second voice once, follow it with one real action, and repeat that choice every day for the next 7 days. Chapter 1. You have been listening to the wrong voice. The alarm rings before the sun comes up. You reach for your phone almost without thinking. Before your feet even touch the floor, your mind has already started its familiar conversation. It reminds you of the mistake you made yesterday. It tells you that today will probably be the same. It whispers that other people seem to move through life with confidence, while you keep second-guessing every decision. You stare at the ceiling for a few seconds, already feeling tired. Even though the day has barely begun, nothing has happened yet. Still, something inside you has already decided what kind of day this will be. That quiet conversation follows you everywhere. It walks beside you while you drive to work. It sits with you while you answer emails. It waits for you when you stand in front of the mirror. It speaks when you meet someone new. It speaks when you try something different. It even speaks when you finally lie down at night, asking you to replay every awkward moment and every missed opportunity. Most people believe this voice is simply who they are. They never stop to ask a simple question. What if that voice has been wrong all along? The greatest mistake is not making bad decisions. The greatest mistake is believing every thought that enters your mind. Thoughts arrive all day long. Some are useful, some are meaningless. Some come from wisdom, others come from fear that has been repeated so many times it now sounds like truth. Your mind does not automatically separate one from the other. It simply offers them to you. You decide which ones become your reality. This is where many lives quietly drift away from their true direction. One fearful thought becomes one avoided opportunity. One avoided opportunity becomes one regret. That regret becomes another fearful thought. Before long, the cycle feels impossible to escape. Not because the world has trapped you, but because an old voice has convinced you that staying small is safer than becoming someone new. Your brain is designed to protect you. Long before it was asked to help you find happiness, it was built to help you survive. It remembers painful experiences more clearly than joyful ones. It notices danger faster than opportunity. If you embarrassed yourself years ago while speaking in front of people, your brain may still carry that memory as if it happened yesterday. It is trying to keep you safe. It does not realize that avoiding every challenge also prevents growth. This protective system becomes stronger through repetition. Every time you agree with a fearful thought, you strengthen it. Every time you avoid something because of that thought, your mind quietly says, "That choice kept us safe. We should do it again." The pattern becomes automatic. Eventually, you stop noticing that you are making a choice at all. Beneath your everyday thinking is something even more powerful. Many people call it the subconscious. It quietly stores everything you repeatedly believe about yourself. It remembers the words spoken to you as a child. It remembers the moments when you felt rejected. It remembers every promise you made after disappointment. Whether those beliefs are true or false matters less than how often they are repeated. The subconscious accepts practice. It builds habits from repetition. If you have spent years saying, "I am never lucky," your subconscious begins acting as if that statement belongs to your identity. If you often think, "Nothing ever works out for me," your attention naturally searches for evidence to support that belief. You overlook the small victories. You notice every setback. Soon it feels as though life itself agrees with your inner story. Some people explain this through psychology. Others speak about vibration, energy, or frequency. They use different words, yet they often point toward the same reality. Your inner state shapes what you notice, how you respond, and what you create. The universe seems to meet you where your deepest expectations quietly live, not because life is rewarding positive thinking alone, but because your beliefs influence your choices every single day. Think about two people walking into the same room. One expects rejection, The other expects connection. The first person avoids eye contact, speaks softly, and leaves quickly. The second smiles, starts conversations, and stays open. They entered the same room, but they experienced different worlds because they listened to different voices before they even arrived. Your life often changes long before your circumstances do. It changes the moment you stop treating every fearful thought like a trusted advisor. Fear is not always lying. Sometimes it warns you about real danger, but much of the fear that fills your mind today is only an echo of yesterday. It belongs to old experiences, not your present reality. There is another voice inside you. It is quieter. It never competes for attention. It does not rush. It does not insult you. It simply waits. This voice speaks with calm, instead of panic. It asks gentle questions, instead of making harsh judgments. It reminds you that one mistake does not define your future. It encourages steady action, instead of endless overthinking. Many people never hear this voice because the louder one always speaks first. The fearful voice demands immediate attention. It tells dramatic stories. It predicts disasters that rarely happen. The quieter voice waits until your mind becomes still enough to notice it. You do not find that voice by forcing silence. You find it by becoming willing to observe your thoughts instead of immediately believing them. Observation creates space. That space allows wisdom to appear. There is something you can do tonight before you go to sleep. Sit somewhere without distractions for 5 minutes. Leave your phone in another room if possible. Close your eyes and simply notice the thoughts passing through your mind. Do not argue with them. Do not push them away. Listen carefully. When one thought repeats itself more than once, write it down exactly as it appeared. Perhaps it says, "I am too late." Perhaps it says, "People will judge me." Perhaps it says, "I always fail." Now ask yourself one question. Is this completely true? Do not rush to answer. Simply ask the question. You are teaching your mind that thoughts deserve examination before belief. Tomorrow morning, begin your day differently. Before looking at any screen, sit upright and take 5 slow breaths. Then speak one sentence clearly. I choose thoughts that move me forward. Say it once. Say it with attention. Then choose one action you have been avoiding. Keep it small. Send the email. Organize the desk. Read 5 pages. Make the phone call. Tiny actions weaken old patterns because they prove your fearful voice is no longer making every decision. Throughout this week, carry a notebook or use the Notes app on your phone. Every time your inner critic repeats the same message, write one short line. Do not judge yourself. Collect the evidence. At the end of 7 days, read everything you wrote. You will notice something surprising. Your mind is far less creative than you thought. It repeats the same handful of fears over and over again. The voice that once seemed wise begins to sound like an old recording. Once you recognize those patterns, create a simple answer for each one. If the voice says, "You are not ready," answer, "I grow by beginning." If it says, "You will fail," answer, "Practice creates progress." If it says, "You missed your chance," answer, "Today is another chance." Keep every response short. Your goal is not to win an argument with your mind. Your goal is to gently redirect your attention before fear controls your behavior. This simple practice may seem ordinary, yet your subconscious learns through repetition more than dramatic moments. One inspiring day changes very little if the following week returns to old habits. Quiet consistency reshapes your inner world. Every repeated choice sends a new signal. You will also discover something important about peace. Peace does not come because every problem disappears. Peace comes because you stop allowing every passing thought to decide how you feel. Your thoughts become visitors instead of rulers. Some stay briefly, others leave quickly. You no longer hand each one the keys to your life. There is a woman named Emma who spent years believing she was not confident enough to start her own business. Every idea ended with the same sentence. Someone else could do this better. One evening, she wrote those words in a notebook. Then she asked herself whether they were always true. She realized she had never questioned that belief before. The next morning, she spent 20 minutes creating a simple plan instead of arguing with herself. The following day, she contacted her first potential customer. Nothing extraordinary happened overnight, yet something inside her became lighter. She had finally stopped taking instructions from an old fear. A few months later, her confidence had grown, not because fear disappeared, but because action became louder than doubt. This is how change usually begins. Quietly. One thought examined. One belief questioned. One action completed. The universe often responds to movement, not perfection. Your subconscious responds to repetition, not occasional inspiration. Your future responds to the choices you make today, not the fears you continue to replay from yesterday. There will still be mornings when the old voice returns. It may sound convincing. It may sound familiar. Familiar does not mean true. Habit does not mean destiny. You always have another option, even if it feels small. Tonight, when that familiar voice begins telling you who you have always been, pause before agreeing with it. Listen for the quieter voice beneath it. Then follow that quieter voice with one real action before the day ends. Repeat that choice tomorrow. Then the next day. Keep doing it until the voice that once controlled your life becomes only a distant echo you no longer obey. Chapter 2. Your subconscious records. Every quiet thought. You sit quietly for a moment after a long day. No one is speaking to you. The room is still. Yet inside your mind, a conversation continues without pause. A single thought appears. I should have done better. A few seconds later, another one follows. People probably noticed my mistake. Then another. Maybe I am just not good enough. None of these thoughts are spoken out loud. No one else hears them. They seem small. They seem harmless. Yet each one leaves a mark in a place you cannot see. Most people believe their lives are shaped only by the big decisions they make. The career they choose, the city they move to, the people they marry. Those moments matter. But before any of those decisions happen, thousands of quiet thoughts have already prepared the path. Those unnoticed thoughts become beliefs. Those beliefs become habits. Those habits slowly become a life. Your subconscious is always listening. It listens when you celebrate yourself. It listens when you criticize yourself. It listens when you speak kindly. It listens when you give up. It does not argue with you. It does not interrupt. It simply records what happens again and again. Think about learning to ride a bicycle. At first, every movement requires attention. You think about where to place your feet. You focus on balance. You hold the handlebars tightly. Then, one day, something changes. You no longer think about riding. Your body simply knows what to do. Your subconscious works in much the same way. It learns through repetition. Whatever you repeat enough times begins to happen automatically. This is wonderful when the habit serves you. It becomes painful when the habit quietly works against you. If every morning you think, "Nothing good ever happens for me," your subconscious begins accepting that statement as normal. It does not stop to ask for proof. It simply stores the message because it has heard it so many times. Soon your attention begins searching for evidence. A delayed train becomes proof. A rejected idea becomes proof. A difficult conversation becomes proof. Meanwhile, the moments that do not support the belief quietly disappear from your awareness. Someone smiles at you. A stranger holds the door. A friend sends an encouraging message. An unexpected opportunity appears. These moments are real, but your mind barely notices them because they do not match the story already being recorded. This is not weakness. It is how the human mind naturally works. Your brain constantly filters information. Every second it receives far more than it could ever consciously process. The subconscious decides what deserves attention based largely on what you repeatedly believe is important. If you buy a blue car, suddenly you notice blue cars everywhere. They were always there. Your attention simply changed. The same thing happens with your beliefs about yourself. If you secretly believe you are capable, your mind begins noticing opportunities. If you secretly believe you are powerless, your mind begins noticing obstacles. The world may not have changed at all. Your filter has. Many spiritual teachers describe this as your personal frequency. Psychologists describe it as expectation, conditioning, and selective attention. Different language, Similar truth. Your inner state quietly shapes your outer experience. This does not mean you magically control everything that happens. Life remains unpredictable. People make their own choices. Unexpected challenges arrive. But your subconscious determines how you meet those moments. Two people can experience the same setback. One says, "This proves I will never succeed." The other says, "This teaches me what to improve." The event is identical. The recording is completely different. Years later, their lives no longer resemble each other because their subconscious built different identities from the same experience. Identity is not created in one dramatic afternoon. It is created through thousands of repeated thoughts. Every time you describe yourself, your subconscious pays attention. I am always anxious. I never finish anything. I am unlucky. I cannot change. Even if you say these words as a joke, your subconscious hears repetition more than intention. It notices patterns. It remembers consistency. It quietly builds your future around whatever appears most often. This is why careless self-talk carries such hidden power. Many people protect others with kindness while speaking harshly to themselves every single day. They would never tell a close friend, "You are hopeless." Yet they repeat those exact words inside their own mind, day after day, year after year. Eventually, those words stop sounding cruel. They start sounding true, but they were never truth. They were practice. Fortunately, the same process that built limiting beliefs can build empowering ones. Your subconscious does not care whether a habit is old or new. It only responds to repetition backed by emotion and action. Today you can begin giving it a different message. The first practice begins this evening. Before you fall asleep, write 3 sentences about yourself. Not the person you fear becoming, the person you are choosing to become. Keep them believable. I am becoming calmer every day. I finish what I begin. I trust myself to grow. Read each sentence slowly 3 times. Do not rush. Allow your mind to hear your own voice speaking with intention instead of habit. Sleep soon after. Your subconscious remains highly active while you rest. The final thoughts of the evening often echo into the beginning of the next day. Tomorrow morning, before checking your phone, sit quietly for 2 minutes. Notice the very first thought that appears. Do not chase it. Do not judge it. Simply ask one question. Did I choose this thought, or did it simply arrive? That single question changes your relationship with your mind. You begin realizing that awareness comes before belief. Not every thought deserves your agreement. This week, pay attention to the words you use when speaking about yourself to others. If someone asks how you are doing, notice your automatic answer. Do you always say you are exhausted? Do you always say life is stressful? Do you always say nothing is working? Without pretending everything is perfect, begin choosing language that leaves room for growth. Instead of saying, "I never get anything right," say, "I am learning." Instead of saying, "Everything is falling apart," say, "I am working through a difficult season." Small changes in language slowly become changes in identity. Your subconscious notices every one of them. There is another habit worth practicing. Celebrate evidence of growth immediately. Most people celebrate only huge victories. Your subconscious learns faster when you recognize small wins. Finished an important task? Notice it. Spoke honestly instead of hiding? Notice it. Stayed calm during a stressful moment? Notice it. Say quietly, "This is who I am becoming." Those words reinforce the identity you are building. The subconscious responds more strongly to identity than achievement. Achievements come and go. Identity remains. There was a man named Daniel who spent years believing he lacked confidence. Every meeting at work became another chance to prove himself wrong. He rarely spoke because he assumed his ideas were not valuable. One evening, he realized he had repeated the sentence, "I am terrible at speaking," for almost 10 years. He decided to stop recording that message. Every night he wrote, "My voice deserves to be heard." Every morning he shared one idea during meetings. even if it lasted only 30 seconds. At first, nothing seemed different. Then people began responding positively. His confidence did not appear before action. It grew because his subconscious slowly accepted a new identity built through consistent practice. Months later, he no longer introduced himself as someone who lacked confidence. He simply became someone who spoke. That is how lasting change often happens. Quietly, gradually, one repeated thought at a time. You may wish your life would change overnight. Sometimes dramatic moments do happen, but the deepest transformation usually grows beneath the surface long before anyone else notices. Just as a tree develops strong roots before growing tall branches, your subconscious develops a new identity before your outer life fully reflects it. Do not become discouraged if you cannot see immediate results. Seeds remain invisible for a while. That does not mean nothing is happening. Your responsibility is not to force instant change. Your responsibility is to keep planting the right thoughts with steady patience. Trust the process more than your temporary emotions. Some days your old beliefs will return. They may sound convincing. They may remind you of past failures. They may ask you to quit before real progress begins. Do not panic when they appear. Old recordings often become loudest just before they lose their influence. Notice them. Thank them for trying to protect you. Then choose a better thought. Repeat it. Support it with one small action. Allow your subconscious to record something new. Tonight, pay close attention to every quiet sentence you speak inside your own mind. Ask yourself whether you want that sentence repeated 1,000 more times until it becomes part of your identity. If the answer is no, replace it before you fall asleep, because your subconscious is already listening. Chapter 3. The universe reflects what you secretly believe. You walk into a room filled with people you have never met before. Nothing about the room has decided who you are. No one has spoken to you yet. No opportunity has appeared. Still, before a single conversation begins, something inside you quietly forms an expectation. Maybe you believe no one will notice you. Maybe you believe you will say the wrong thing. Maybe you expect to feel out of place. Without realizing it, you begin acting in harmony with that hidden belief. Your shoulders become tense. Your smile fades. You avoid eye contact. Then, when the evening feels disappointing, you quietly tell yourself, "I knew this would happen." It feels as though the world confirmed your belief. But often, your belief shaped the way you met the world. This is one of the quiet mysteries of life. Many people spend years trying to change their circumstances while never questioning the beliefs they carry into every circumstance. They search for a better job, a better relationship, a better city, or better timing. Sometimes those changes help, but if the same hidden beliefs travel with you, the same patterns often appear in different forms. The universe has a remarkable way of reflecting what lives deep within you. This does not mean every event is created by your thoughts. Life is far too complex for that. Storms come, people leave, unexpected loss happens. There are moments beyond your control. Yet between those moments lies something powerful. The meaning you give to your experiences, the expectations you carry into tomorrow, the identity you repeat inside yourself. These invisible forces quietly influence how your life unfolds. Think about sunlight shining through a window. The sunlight is available to everyone. But if the window is covered with years of dust, very little light enters the room. The problem is not the sun. The problem is what has been collecting on the glass. Your beliefs work in a similar way. The opportunities around you may already exist. The kindness you seek may already exist. The possibilities you hope for may already be closer than you think. But old beliefs can make them almost impossible to recognize. When someone secretly believes they are unworthy of love, they often become suspicious of genuine kindness. When someone secretly believes success belongs only to other people, they overlook chances that could change their future. When someone believes life is always against them, they notice every disappointment while ignoring quiet blessings happening all around them. The universe appears to agree with whatever story they continue telling themselves. Not because the universe is punishing them, because their attention follows their belief. Attention is one of the greatest creative forces you possess. Whatever receives your consistent attention grows larger in your awareness. If you spend every day searching for reasons to feel defeated, your mind becomes highly skilled at finding them. If you begin searching for moments of possibility, your awareness slowly expands in another direction. This is not pretending difficulties do not exist. It is choosing where your energy will live. Your subconscious and your attention work together. One stores your repeated beliefs. The other searches the world for evidence. Together they create a powerful cycle. Belief shapes attention. Attention strengthens belief. The cycle continues until you decide to interrupt it. Many spiritual traditions describe this as living in alignment. Alignment is not forcing yourself to smile every minute. It is not denying sadness. It is not repeating beautiful words while secretly expecting disappointment. Alignment happens when your thoughts, your actions, and your deepest beliefs begin moving in the same direction. You become honest with yourself. You stop speaking hope while practicing fear. You stop asking life for change while refusing to change your inner story. That is when something begins to shift. The universe often responds to clarity. Clarity creates action. Action creates opportunity. Opportunity creates new evidence. Soon the old belief begins losing its grip. One of the biggest misunderstandings about manifestation is believing that wishing is enough. Wishing without belief creates frustration. Belief without action creates fantasy. Action without belief creates exhaustion. Real transformation happens when belief and action begin supporting each other. You no longer work against yourself. Instead of saying, "I hope something changes," you begin saying, "I am becoming someone who is ready for change." Those words carry a different energy. They create movement. Today there is something simple you can practice. Find 10 quiet minutes without distractions. Take a notebook. At the top of the page, write one question. What do I secretly believe about my life? Do not think too hard. Write whatever comes naturally. Perhaps you write, "Nothing ever lasts." Perhaps you write, "Success belongs to other people." Perhaps you write, "People always leave." Whatever appears, welcome it with honesty. You cannot change a belief you refuse to see. After writing your answer, ask another question. Who taught me this? You may remember a childhood experience, a painful relationship, a difficult season, a careless sentence someone spoke years ago. Notice something important. The belief had a beginning. If it had a beginning, it does not have to become your ending. Tomorrow morning, begin looking for evidence that gently challenges your old belief. If you believe people cannot be trusted, notice one honest interaction. If you believe nothing works out, notice one thing that goes well. Do not search for dramatic miracles. Search for quiet proof. Your subconscious changes through repeated evidence, not occasional excitement. Throughout this week, practice speaking as the person you are becoming. If someone asks about your goals, answer with calm confidence. If fear appears before taking action, acknowledge it without obeying it. Say quietly, "This fear belongs to an older version of me." Then continue with the next small step. Every action becomes another message to your subconscious. Every message strengthens a new identity. There was a teacher named Olivia who dreamed of starting evening classes for children in her community. For years, she carried one hidden belief. No one will care what I have to offer. She never questioned those words. She simply accepted them. One afternoon, she wrote that sentence in her journal. Then she asked herself where it came from. She remembered being laughed at while reading aloud in school. A single moment had quietly become a lifelong belief. Instead of fighting the memory, she chose one different action. She announced one free class at the local library. Only 6 children attended. Years earlier, she would have called that a failure. Now she called it a beginning. Those 6 children returned the following week. Then they brought friends. Months later, the class had grown beyond anything she expected. The universe did not suddenly change its mind about her. She changed the belief she carried into the world. The reflection changed because the source changed. There is great freedom in understanding this. You stop waiting for life to prove your worth. You begin living from the quiet certainty that your worth was never missing. You stop demanding guarantees before taking action. You become willing to move before certainty arrives. Faith is often much quieter than people expect. It rarely announces itself. It appears in ordinary decisions: sending the application, making the phone call, beginning the conversation, trying again after disappointment. Each small act tells your subconscious, "I believe something better is possible." Each action sends a new signal into your life. Over time, that signal becomes stronger than your old fears. There will still be days when doubt returns. Old beliefs do not disappear because you challenge them once. They fade because you stop feeding them. Every time you choose trust instead of automatic fear, the old story grows weaker. Every time you act from your deeper values instead of your temporary emotions, your life begins reflecting a different identity. Do not measure your progress only by what appears around you. Sometimes the greatest evidence of change is found within you. You react differently. You recover faster. You speak more gently to yourself. You notice opportunities that once seemed invisible. Those are signs that your inner world is already changing. The outer world often follows more slowly. Be patient enough to allow that process. The universe does not need you to control every outcome. It asks for something much simpler. Bring your beliefs into harmony with the life you hope to build. Then support those beliefs with honest action every single day. Tonight, before you fall asleep, ask yourself one quiet question. If the universe reflected every belief you carried today, would tomorrow look the way you truly want it to? If the answer is no, choose one belief to change before you close your eyes, and begin living from that new belief when the sun rises. Chapter 4. You can choose a new inner story. You wake up expecting another ordinary day. Before breakfast, before the first conversation, before anything meaningful has happened, your mind quietly begins telling you who you are. It says you are always behind. It reminds you of what you failed to finish. It predicts what will probably go wrong before you even leave the house. By the time the morning has truly begun, your inner story has already shaped the way you stand, the way you speak, and the way you look at the hours ahead. Most people never realize they are living inside a story. Not a story written on paper, a story repeated silently. It plays in the background of almost every decision. Some stories sound like this: I never finish what I start. I always disappoint people. I am just not confident. I missed my chance. After hearing those sentences for years, they stop sounding like opinions. They begin sounding like facts. But they were never facts. They were conclusions. And every conclusion can be questioned. Your mind loves certainty. Even painful certainty often feels safer than hopeful uncertainty. If you have believed for years that you are not capable, your brain knows exactly how to behave. It has practiced that role thousands of times. Choosing a new story feels uncomfortable, not because it is wrong, but because it is unfamiliar. Growth often feels strange before it feels natural. That is one reason people return to old habits. The old story feels like home, even when that home is filled with fear. The beautiful truth is that your identity is more flexible than you have been taught to believe. You are not trapped inside the version of yourself that survived yesterday. You are not required to keep repeating sentences that no longer serve your future. Every day gives you another opportunity to decide which story deserves another page. Think about someone learning a new language. At first, every word feels awkward. They pause often. They make mistakes. They translate everything in their mind before speaking. Months later, they begin thinking in the new language without effort. Your inner story changes in much the same way. At first, the new beliefs feel unfamiliar. Eventually, they become natural. The subconscious accepts what is practiced consistently. That means your future is influenced less by what you occasionally believe and more by what you repeatedly practice. Many people wait until they feel different before changing their story. That day rarely comes. Feelings often follow repeated action. You begin speaking differently before complete confidence arrives. You begin acting differently before fear completely disappears. The story changes first. Then your emotions slowly learn to trust it. This is where many people become discouraged. They replace one negative thought with one positive sentence and expect everything to transform overnight. When nothing dramatic happens, they assume the practice failed. It did not fail. It simply began. A tree does not become tall because you watered it once. It grows because you continued watering it long after you stopped looking for immediate results. Your inner story grows exactly the same way. Every repeated thought becomes another drop of water. Every consistent action becomes another strong root. Eventually something visible appears, not because of one perfect day, because of many faithful ones. There is another important truth. A new inner story does not require pretending the past never happened. You do not erase painful memories. You give them a different meaning. Instead of saying, "I failed because I am not good enough," you begin saying, "I learned something that will make me wiser." Instead of saying, "They rejected me because I have no value," you begin saying, "That experience redirected me toward something better." The event remains the same. The meaning changes. Meaning changes identity. Identity changes action. Action changes life. Your past becomes a teacher instead of a prison. That is one of the greatest freedoms you can experience. Today you can begin building a new story with one simple exercise. Take a notebook. Draw a line down the center of the page. On the left side, write the title, "The Story I Have Been Living." On the right side, write, "The Story I Am Choosing." On the left, honestly write the sentences you have repeated for years. "I never have enough. I always ruin good opportunities. I cannot trust myself." Write without judgment. These thoughts are not your identity. They are only old recordings. Now move to the right side. Rewrite each sentence, not as fantasy, as possibility. "I am learning to create abundance. I recognize opportunities and act on them. I trust myself a little more each day." Read the new sentences slowly. Notice how they feel. If they seem uncomfortable, that is not failure. It simply means your mind is becoming familiar with a different direction. Tomorrow morning, choose one sentence from your new story. Carry it with you throughout the day. Write it on a small piece of paper. Place it in your wallet. Save it on your phone. Whenever the old story appears, quietly read the new one. Do not argue with the old thought. Simply replace it. Your attention is like sunlight. Where it rests consistently, growth follows. Throughout this week, support your new story with one matching action every day. If your new story says you are becoming healthier, take a walk. If it says you are becoming confident, speak up once during a meeting. If it says you are becoming disciplined, finish one important task before distractions begin. Action gives your subconscious evidence. Evidence strengthens belief. Belief creates identity. Identity becomes your new normal. Many people underestimate this step. They speak hopeful words while continuing fearful habits. That creates confusion. Your subconscious listens more carefully to what you repeatedly do than to what you occasionally say. When your words and your actions begin agreeing with each other, something powerful happens. Your inner world becomes believable. Your confidence grows quietly because your behavior confirms your intentions. There was a man named Michael who spent most of his adult life introducing himself as someone who was always unlucky. He said it so often that friends repeated it back to him. Whenever something went wrong, he smiled sadly and said, "That is just my life." One evening, he realized he had been telling the same story for nearly 15 years. Nothing required him to keep telling it. So he stopped. He replaced one sentence. Instead of saying, "I am unlucky," he began saying, "I notice new opportunities." At first, the words felt strange, but every day he acted as though they were true. He accepted invitations he normally declined. He introduced himself to new people. He applied for positions he once believed were beyond his reach. Months later, someone congratulated him on how lucky he had become. Michael smiled. He knew luck had not suddenly arrived. His story had changed. His choices followed. The results eventually caught up. That is how life often works. The world responds differently when you begin responding differently to it. The universe seems to open doors that fear once kept invisible. Not because the universe suddenly became generous, because you finally became available to what had always been present. This is why protecting your inner story matters. The words you repeat become the beliefs you carry. The beliefs you carry become the expectations you hold. The expectations you hold influence the opportunities you notice. Over time, the story you tell yourself becomes the life you recognize. Choose that story carefully. Do not allow one painful season to become your permanent identity. Do not allow one mistake to become your name. Do not allow someone else's opinion to become your truth. Those things happened. They are not who you are. Every sunrise quietly offers the same invitation. You may continue reading yesterday's story, or you may begin writing today's. No one else can make that decision for you. No one else can practice your new thoughts. No one else can build your new identity. That responsibility is yours. It is also your freedom. Some days the old story will return with surprising strength. It will sound familiar. It will remind you of every reason to stop. Listen without fear. Then gently choose your new story again. You are not failing because the old voice appeared. You are succeeding because you no longer believe it automatically. Each time you choose differently, the old story loses another piece of its power. Each time you act from your new identity, your subconscious records another chapter. Soon the story that once felt impossible begins feeling natural. Not because someone else changed your life, because you changed the words that quietly directed it. Tonight, before you close your eyes, ask yourself one honest question. If your inner story became your outer life 5 years from now, would you be grateful for the story you repeated today? If not, write one better sentence before you fall asleep, and begin living as though it already belongs to you when tomorrow begins. Chapter 5. Your nighttime mind accepts gentle new truths. The day is finally over. The lights are low. The noise of the world has faded into the distance. You place your phone on the table and sit quietly at the edge of your bed. For the first time all day, there is nothing demanding your attention. Yet your mind is still busy. It begins replaying conversations. It remembers things you wish you had said differently. It predicts tomorrow's problems before tomorrow has even arrived. Your body is preparing for rest, but your thoughts are preparing for another battle. Most people fall asleep carrying the weight of unfinished conversations inside their minds. Not conversations with other people, conversations with themselves. Those final thoughts before sleep are often the same thoughts waiting for them when they wake. That is not an accident. Your nighttime mind is different from your daytime mind. As the body relaxes, your conscious mind slowly becomes quieter. The part of you that analyzes every detail begins to soften. The subconscious remains active. It continues organizing memories. It strengthens patterns. It quietly stores the emotional experiences of the day. This is why the final moments before sleep deserve more attention than most people give them. You are preparing more than tomorrow morning. You are preparing tomorrow's identity. Many people spend the entire evening feeding their minds fear without realizing it. They watch upsetting news until the last minute. They scroll through endless comparisons. They replay disappointments. They argue with people who are no longer in the room. Then they wonder why they wake feeling anxious before the day has even begun. The subconscious does not simply remember information. It remembers emotional repetition. Whatever feeling you repeatedly carry into sleep slowly becomes familiar. Familiar feelings become familiar expectations. Those expectations influence how you begin each new day. Think about planting a seed. You would not place it into dry ground and expect healthy growth. You prepare the soil first. Your evening routine prepares the soil of your subconscious. Every thought you repeat becomes another condition in which tomorrow begins. This is why gentle thoughts often carry greater power than dramatic ones. The subconscious does not need force. It responds to consistency. Many people believe they must convince themselves of enormous ideas overnight. They stand in front of the mirror, repeating words they do not believe. I am perfect. I have everything. My life is completely different. The subconscious quietly resists because those statements feel too far away from present experience. Gentle truth creates less resistance. Instead of saying, I fear nothing, you can say, I am becoming calmer each day. Instead of saying, everything is perfect, you can say, I trust that I am growing. Instead of saying, my future is guaranteed, you can say, I choose hope over fear tonight. These statements feel possible. The subconscious welcomes possibility. Growth often begins there. There is another reason evenings matter so much. During the day, your attention is divided. Work demands you. Messages interrupt you. Responsibilities compete for your focus. Night removes many of those distractions. What remains is your relationship with yourself. Some people avoid silence because silence introduces them to thoughts they have ignored for years. Yet silence is not your enemy. Silence reveals what has been quietly shaping your life. If you listen carefully during those peaceful moments before sleep, you will begin hearing the beliefs that guide your days. Not because they suddenly appeared, because the noise finally disappeared. Your evening can become a sacred habit without becoming complicated. It does not require expensive tools. It does not require perfect discipline. It only requires intention. Tonight, begin with one simple practice. 30 minutes before bed, place your phone somewhere you cannot easily reach. Allow your eyes and your mind to slow down. Sit comfortably. Take 5 slow breaths. Notice your shoulders relaxing. Notice your heartbeat becoming calmer. Then ask yourself one quiet question. What did I repeatedly tell myself today? Do not judge your answer. Simply notice it. Perhaps you spent the day saying you were too busy. Perhaps you repeatedly believed you were falling behind. Perhaps you quietly doubted your ability. Awareness is the beginning of change. Once you recognize the message, choose one better sentence. Only one. Keep it gentle. I am learning. I am safe in this moment. I trust today's effort. Repeat it slowly 10 times. Not mechanically. With attention. Allow each repetition to settle naturally. There is no need to force belief. Simply become familiar with the words. Tomorrow night, repeat the same sentence again. Consistency matters more than variety. Your subconscious learns through steady repetition. Changing the sentence every evening prevents it from taking root. Stay with one gentle truth for at least 7 nights. Give your mind time to accept a different pattern. Throughout this week, create a peaceful ending to each day. Write down 3 things that went well. Keep them small. You completed a task. You smiled at a stranger. You remained calm during a difficult conversation. Many people wait for extraordinary victories before allowing themselves gratitude. Your subconscious grows stronger when it notices ordinary progress. Small victories repeated become quiet confidence. Another helpful practice is forgiveness before sleep. Not because everyone deserves immediate forgiveness, not because painful experiences should be ignored. Forgiveness is often something you choose for your own peace. Carrying anger into sleep teaches your subconscious to rehearse conflict. Releasing it, even little by little, creates space for healing. You can simply say, I release today's burden for tonight. Nothing more. You are not pretending the pain never existed. You are refusing to carry it through every hour of your life. Your nighttime mind also responds to imagination, not fantasy. Direction. Before closing your eyes, picture one simple moment from tomorrow. See yourself speaking calmly. See yourself completing one important task. See yourself responding patiently instead of reacting quickly. Keep the image brief, clear, peaceful. The subconscious responds strongly to repeated mental rehearsal. Athletes have practiced this for years. Musicians use it. Successful speakers use it. The mind becomes familiar with success before the body experiences it. You can practice the same principle in everyday life. There was a woman named Grace who ended every evening replaying everything that had gone wrong. She criticized herself before sleep almost every night. By morning, she already felt defeated. One evening, she decided to change only the final 10 minutes of her day. She stopped scrolling through social media. She sat quietly with a notebook. She wrote 3 small successes. Then she repeated one sentence. I am becoming someone who trusts herself. The first few nights felt ordinary. Nothing dramatic happened. But after several weeks, she noticed something unexpected. She woke feeling calmer. Her first thoughts became kinder. She handled difficult conversations with more patience. Friends commented that she seemed more peaceful. Grace smiled because she understood what had changed. Her mornings improved because her evenings had changed first. This is often how transformation begins, not with a dramatic breakthrough, with a quiet habit repeated faithfully. Never underestimate what happens while you sleep. Your body repairs itself. Your brain organizes information. Your subconscious strengthens whatever you practiced throughout the day. Give it something worthy to strengthen. Do not hand it endless worry. Do not feed it constant criticism. Offer it hope. Offer it patience. Offer it gentle truth. The universe seems to respond differently to people who end each day with trust instead of fear. Not because difficult things stop happening, because calm people notice possibilities that anxious minds often miss. They wake with clearer attention. They make wiser decisions. They respond instead of react. That new response slowly creates a different life. You do not need perfect evenings. Some nights will be difficult. Some days will leave you emotionally exhausted. On those nights, keep your practice simple. Take one deep breath. Choose one kind sentence. Release one unnecessary burden. That is enough. Progress grows through faithfulness, not perfection. Every peaceful evening becomes another message to your subconscious. I am no longer living in survival. I am creating a new way of being. Those messages quietly shape tomorrow before tomorrow arrives. One night becomes another. One week becomes another. Soon you realize your mornings no longer begin with automatic fear. They begin with quiet expectation, not because life became easier, because your inner world became steadier. Your subconscious accepted the truth you gently repeated with patience and consistency. Tonight, protect the final moments before you fall asleep, as carefully as you would protect something precious. Choose one gentle truth that the person you hope to become would believe, repeat it with calm attention, and allow your nighttime mind carry that truth into the morning before you open your eyes. Chapter 6. You build a different life before you sleep. The house is quiet. The work is finished. The conversations have ended. Outside your window, the world continues moving, but inside your room, everything has become still. You lie down, pull the blanket over yourself, and tell yourself that tomorrow will be different. You have made that promise before. You have whispered it after difficult days. You have repeated it after disappointment. Yet when tomorrow arrives, you often wake carrying the same thoughts, the same emotions, and the same habits that shaped yesterday. It is easy to believe that tomorrow begins when you open your eyes. In many ways, tomorrow begins before you fall asleep. Most people think of sleep as the end of the day. The mind often treats it as the beginning of the next one. What you repeatedly think, feel, and accept in the quiet moments before sleep becomes part of the emotional foundation you wake up standing on. That foundation is usually invisible, yet it quietly supports every decision you make after the alarm rings. If the final moments of your evening are filled with frustration, comparison, regret, or worry, your subconscious continues working with those emotions long after you have fallen asleep. If your final moments are filled with peace, gratitude, purpose, and gentle expectation, your subconscious begins strengthening those patterns instead. You may not notice the difference after one night. You will notice it after many. Transformation rarely announces itself. It grows quietly. Think about a river flowing through a valley. One drop of water changes almost nothing. Thousands of drops, flowing every single day, slowly shape stone itself. Your nightly thoughts work the same way. One peaceful evening may seem ordinary. Months of peaceful evenings reshape the direction of your life. The subconscious does not respond to excitement nearly as much as it responds to consistency. This surprises many people. They wait for one extraordinary experience, one powerful speech, one emotional breakthrough, one perfect morning. Those moments can inspire you, but inspiration fades if it is not followed by repeated practice. Your subconscious builds identity through what happens repeatedly, especially during moments when your conscious mind becomes quiet. That is why the evening is so valuable. It offers you something the daytime rarely does: undivided attention. Throughout the day, your attention belongs to many people: your employer, your family, your responsibilities, your messages, your schedule. At night, your attention finally returns to you. The question is simple: what do you do with it? Many people hand those final minutes back to worry. They replay old arguments. They criticize themselves. They scroll through endless information. Their minds become crowded with voices that never belonged there. Then they expect peaceful sleep to erase everything. Sleep restores the body. It does not automatically replace deeply practiced thinking. That responsibility belongs to you. Every evening is an opportunity to choose what your subconscious practices while your body rests. One of the greatest misunderstandings about personal growth is believing that change happens only during moments of action. Action is important, but preparation is equally important. An athlete prepares before competition. A musician prepares before a performance. A gardener prepares the soil before planting seeds. The evening prepares your inner world before tomorrow begins. Preparation changes performance. If you prepare your subconscious with fear, tomorrow begins in fear. If you prepare it with trust, tomorrow begins differently. Not perfectly, but differently. There is another beautiful truth about nighttime. The world asks less from you. Nobody expects immediate answers. Nobody demands instant decisions. For a little while, you are free from constant reaction. That freedom allows you to become intentional. Instead of reacting to life, you begin creating the conditions in which tomorrow will grow. Creation often begins in stillness. People often associate creation with hard work. Hard work matters. But clarity usually comes before meaningful work. Without clarity, effort becomes scattered. Without direction, energy becomes wasted. Your evening is where direction quietly forms. You decide which beliefs deserve another day. You decide which fears no longer belong in your future. You decide which version of yourself you are slowly becoming. That decision rarely happens once. It happens every night. Your subconscious notices repetition. It notices consistency. It notices identity. When you repeatedly tell yourself, "I am becoming disciplined," then support those words with simple evening habits. Your subconscious begins accepting discipline as part of who you are. Notice the order: identity first, behavior second, results third. Many people reverse this order. They believe results create identity. I will believe I am confident after I succeed. I will believe I am peaceful after life becomes easier. I will believe I am disciplined after I build the habit. The subconscious works differently. It responds when identity begins changing before results fully appear. That identity quietly influences behavior. Behavior eventually produces results. The cycle begins inside. The outer world slowly follows. This evening, you can begin a simple practice that requires less than 15 minutes. When the day is ending, turn off every unnecessary screen. Allow your room to become quiet. Sit comfortably with a notebook beside you. Take 5 slow breaths. Do not rush them. Allow your breathing to signal safety to your nervous system. Your body listens to your breathing. A calm breath tells your mind that it no longer needs to prepare for danger. After those breaths, write the answer to one question. What kind of person am I becoming? Do not answer with achievements. Do not write about money. Do not write about status. Write about character. I am becoming patient. I am becoming trustworthy. I am becoming focused. I am becoming peaceful. Choose only one quality for the entire week. One quality practiced deeply becomes stronger than 10 qualities practiced occasionally. Now close your eyes. Picture tomorrow morning. See yourself waking without rushing. See yourself standing with calm. See yourself completing one meaningful task. Keep the picture simple. Your subconscious understands simplicity. Do not try to imagine every hour. Only imagine the beginning. The beginning shapes everything that follows. After this, speak one sentence quietly. I will meet tomorrow with peace. Not because you know tomorrow will be easy, because you are choosing the way you will enter it. That sentence becomes your final conversation with yourself before sleep. Tomorrow morning, before checking your phone, spend 1 minute remembering what you practiced the night before. Do not immediately allow outside voices to become louder than your own. Protect the first moments of your day. Those moments belong to you. Stand near a window if possible. Take another slow breath. Repeat the same sentence you spoke before sleeping. Your subconscious recognizes repetition. Morning confirms what evening planted. Throughout this week, pay attention to one question whenever you make a decision. Does this choice belong to the person I am becoming? Notice how different that question feels. Instead of asking what you feel like doing, ask what your future identity would naturally do. If you are becoming disciplined, perhaps you complete the task before resting. If you are becoming peaceful, perhaps you pause before responding in anger. If you are becoming generous, perhaps you encourage someone without expecting anything in return. Identity quietly guides action. Action strengthens identity. That cycle becomes your new way of living. There was a man named Ethan who constantly ended his evenings with exhaustion. He worked late. He scrolled through news until midnight. He replayed every mistake before finally falling asleep. Each morning felt heavy. He believed mornings were the problem. They were not. His evenings were preparing them. He decided to change only the final 20 minutes of his day. He turned off his phone. He read 2 pages from an inspiring book. He wrote one lesson he learned that day. Then he spent 3 minutes visualizing himself handling tomorrow with patience and confidence. Nothing dramatic happened during the first week. The second week became easier. By the third week, he noticed he was waking before the alarm, without feeling overwhelmed. His coworkers noticed he reacted more calmly during stressful situations. His family noticed he smiled more often at breakfast. The circumstances of his life had barely changed. The preparation had. He had quietly built a different tomorrow before falling asleep each night. Many people search for the perfect morning routine while ignoring the evening habits creating those mornings. Morning energy often begins the night before. A peaceful morning usually has peaceful roots. A focused day often has a focused evening. Your subconscious does not separate them. It experiences them as one continuous process. There is something deeply comforting about this truth. It means every evening gives you another opportunity. No matter how difficult today has been, no matter how many mistakes you made, no matter how discouraged you feel. The final moments before sleep remain yours. You can always choose a better ending, and better endings often create better beginnings. You are not trapped by yesterday unless you keep rehearsing yesterday. You are not defined by old failures unless you continue introducing yourself through them. Every night offers a quiet invitation. Release what no longer serves you. Keep what helps you grow. Carry only what belongs in tomorrow. The universe seems to honor people who prepare themselves with patience instead of panic. Not because life suddenly removes every obstacle, because prepared minds recognize possibilities that fearful minds overlook. Calm creates clarity. Clarity supports wise action. Wise action slowly changes a life. Trust this quiet process. It may feel almost invisible at first. That is how roots grow. No one applauds them. No one watches them. Yet everything standing above the ground depends on what happened beneath it. Your evening habits are the roots of tomorrow's life. Protect them. Feed them. Repeat them. Allow them to become sacred without becoming complicated. There will still be evenings when your thoughts race. There will still be nights when worry tries to return. Do not measure success by having a perfectly quiet mind. Measure success by returning your attention with kindness every time it wanders. Each return is another act of training. Each act of training is another message to your subconscious. I choose peace. I choose purpose. I choose the person I am becoming. Tonight, before you close your eyes, remember that you are doing more than ending another day. You are quietly building the emotional foundation of tomorrow. Give your subconscious something beautiful to carry through the night. Choose one identity, one peaceful thought, and one clear intention. Then allow sleep to become the place where your next life begins to take shape. Chapter 7. Detachment opens the door to real change. You have done everything you believed you were supposed to do. You worked hard. You stayed patient. You repeated your new thoughts every morning. You changed your habits. Yet as the days passed, one question kept returning. Why is nothing happening? Every time you looked for proof, you became disappointed. Every time you checked for results, you felt anxious. It was not the work that exhausted you. It was the waiting. This is where many people quietly give up. Not because they lacked ability, not because the dream was impossible, because they became attached to seeing immediate proof. The mind loves certainty. It wants guarantees. It wants signs. It wants visible progress every single day. When those things do not appear, fear begins speaking again. It says your effort is being wasted. It tells you nothing is changing. It encourages you to return to old habits because at least those habits feel familiar. But real change often asks for something difficult. It asks you to continue before the evidence arrives. That is where detachment begins. Many people misunderstand detachment. They think it means giving up. They think it means becoming cold or careless. They believe it means pretending they no longer want what they deeply desire. That is not detachment. Detachment is caring deeply about your direction without demanding control over every outcome. It is continuing to plant seeds without digging them up every morning to check whether they have grown. The farmer understands something important. After planting the seed, constant checking does not help it grow. The soil needs time. The roots need time. Nature has its own rhythm. Your life follows a similar pattern. Some of the greatest changes happen quietly beneath the surface, long before anyone can see them. You may not notice your patience growing. You may not notice your confidence becoming stronger. You may not notice your subconscious accepting a new identity. Yet all of these changes prepare you for opportunities that have not arrived yet. People often confuse movement with progress. They constantly search for something new, a new method, a new habit, a new promise, a new shortcut. Meanwhile, they abandon the simple practices that were already working because they expected faster results. Detachment protects you from this trap. It allows you to remain faithful to the process instead of becoming addicted to immediate rewards. Think about learning to play the piano. During the first few weeks, improvement feels slow. Some days you even feel worse than before. Your fingers hesitate. Simple songs seem difficult. If you judged your future after every practice session, you would probably quit. But if you continue practicing without demanding daily perfection, one morning you suddenly notice that your hands move naturally. The change was happening all along. You simply could not measure it every day. Life often grows this way. The subconscious rarely changes through dramatic moments. It changes through repeated experiences that slowly become your normal way of living. The universe often responds in the same quiet rhythm. You take one faithful step. Life meets you with another opportunity. You take another step. Another door opens. Not always immediately. Not always in the direction you expected, but often in ways you could never have planned. Control is comforting. At least it appears to be. When you try controlling every detail, you feel temporarily safe because you believe nothing unexpected can happen. Yet life has never worked that way. Unexpected moments are part of being alive. Detachment is not abandoning responsibility. It is releasing the impossible responsibility of controlling everything. You are responsible for your effort. You are not responsible for every result. You are responsible for your attitude. You are not responsible for every person's opinion. You are responsible for planting. You are not responsible for making the seed grow. There is freedom in accepting this. Your energy no longer becomes trapped in constant worry. It becomes available for meaningful action. Fear spends energy imagining problems. Detachment spends energy improving today. The difference is enormous. Many people unknowingly delay their own progress by measuring it too often. Every hour they ask themselves whether they feel different. Every day they wonder whether the universe has answered. Every conversation becomes another chance to compare themselves with someone else. Comparison is one of the fastest ways to lose peace. Someone will always seem further ahead. Someone will always appear more successful. If you build your confidence on comparison, your peace depends on other people. That is a fragile way to live. Detachment invites you back to yourself. It reminds you that your only true comparison is the person you were yesterday. Did you become a little calmer? Did you respond with more patience? Did you keep one promise to yourself? Those victories matter. They are evidence that your identity is changing. External success often follows internal consistency, not the other way around. Today you can begin practicing detachment in a very practical way. Choose one goal that matters deeply to you. Write it at the top of a page. Below it, divide the page into 2 columns. On one side, write, "What I can control." On the other side, write, "What I cannot control." Under the first column, write things like your effort, your preparation, your habits, your honesty, your attitude, and your willingness to learn. Under the second column, write things like other people's choices, perfect timing, unexpected delays, the economy, past mistakes, or how quickly results appear. Read both columns carefully, then make one quiet decision. Spend your energy only on the first column today. Return to this page whenever anxiety appears. Your mind often becomes peaceful when it remembers its true responsibilities. Tomorrow morning, begin your day without asking whether your life has changed. Ask a different question. What is the next faithful step? Notice the difference. One question searches for proof. The other creates progress. Take that next step without demanding immediate rewards. If your goal is better health, prepare one healthy meal. If your goal is stronger relationships, send one thoughtful message. If your goal is personal growth, spend 15 focused minutes learning something valuable. Small actions become powerful when repeated without attachment. Throughout this week, practice releasing one unnecessary expectation every evening. Perhaps you expected someone to praise your work. Perhaps you expected a certain opportunity to appear. Perhaps you expected life to move faster. Acknowledge the expectation, then quietly say, "I release what I cannot control." Repeat those words slowly. Notice your breathing. Notice your shoulders relaxing. Peace often enters through acceptance. There was a woman named Hannah who dreamed of starting a small business selling handmade candles. For nearly a year, she worked tirelessly. Every morning, she checked her sales before even getting out of bed. If sales were low, her mood collapsed. If they were higher, she felt hopeful for a few hours before worrying again. Her emotions rose and fell with numbers she could not fully control. One day, she changed her focus. Instead of measuring success by daily sales, she measured success by daily faithfulness. Did she improve her products? Did she serve her customers well? Did she learn something new? Did she stay consistent? The business did not explode overnight, but something more important happened first. She became peaceful. Ironically, that peace made her work better. She became more creative. She connected with customers more naturally. She stopped making desperate decisions. Months later, the business grew steadily. The growth followed the inner change. She often said the greatest gift was not the business itself. It was learning how to work without living in constant fear. That is the quiet strength of detachment. It allows effort to become joyful again. It frees you from carrying burdens that never belonged to you. It reminds you that your value does not rise and fall with temporary results. Some days, life will surprise you in beautiful ways. Other days, it will disappoint you. Detachment helps you remain steady through both. Success does not make you arrogant. Delay does not make you hopeless. You continue walking because your purpose no longer depends on immediate evidence. The universe seems to trust people who continue moving with calm patience. Not because they never feel doubt, because they refuse to let doubt become their leader. They keep showing up. They keep planting. They keep serving. Eventually, opportunities appear that fear could never have predicted. Do not misunderstand patience. Patience is not passive waiting. Patience is active trust. It is continuing today's work while allowing tomorrow to unfold in its own time. It is believing that unseen progress still matters. It is understanding that roots grow long before fruit appears. You have already begun changing, perhaps more than you realize. You notice your thoughts more carefully. You speak to yourself more kindly. You make better decisions. You recover faster after setbacks. These are not small achievements. They are signs that your foundation is becoming stronger. Protect that foundation. Do not trade lasting peace for temporary certainty. There will still be moments when anxiety returns. Your mind will ask whether all your effort is working. Smile gently when that question appears. Then return to your practice. Return to your habits. Return to today's responsibilities. The answer will reveal itself through time. Tonight, before you fall asleep, think about one dream that matters deeply to you. Hold it with love, but loosen your grip on the need to control exactly how and when it arrives. Then give your full attention to the one action you can take tomorrow. Trust that real change often begins the moment you stop chasing the outcome and start faithfully living the process. Chapter 8. You trust the process without chasing results. You finish another day of doing the right things. You kept your promise to yourself. You spoke more kindly. You followed your new routine. You made one difficult decision instead of avoiding it. Then, just before going to bed, a familiar thought quietly appears. Is it working? You search for proof. You look at your life. You compare today with yesterday. Nothing seems dramatically different. A feeling of disappointment begins to grow. Suddenly, all the progress you made feels invisible because you cannot yet see the results you hoped for. This is one of the quiet tests that every growing person faces. Not the test of ability, not the test of intelligence, the test of trust. Can you continue doing the right things when there is no immediate reward? Can you stay faithful to the process before success becomes visible? Can you believe that invisible progress is still progress? Most people cannot. That is why they stop too soon. They water the seed for 3 days. Then they decide nothing is happening. They start another method, another routine, another promise, another direction. Years pass. They become experts at beginning. They never become experts at continuing. The process never had the opportunity to work because they never stayed with it long enough. Nature teaches a lesson many people forget. The bamboo tree spends years growing underground before it rises dramatically above the surface. During those unseen years, someone who judged only what was visible would believe nothing was happening. Yet beneath the soil, the roots were becoming strong enough to support extraordinary growth. Your life often follows the same pattern. Before confidence becomes visible, it becomes consistent. Before peace becomes obvious, it becomes practiced. Before success appears outwardly, discipline quietly grows inwardly. The greatest changes almost always begin where nobody else can see them. Your subconscious understands this better than your conscious mind. The conscious mind wants proof. The subconscious wants repetition. Every evening you repeat a peaceful thought. Every morning you choose one faithful action. Every day you respond differently to old fears. Those repeated choices become your new identity. Identity grows before achievement. Many people reverse that order. They say, when I become successful, I will believe in myself. Life often works in the opposite direction. You begin believing in the person you are becoming. That belief changes your actions. those actions eventually create success. Trust bridges the space between today's effort and tomorrow's reward. Without trust, every delay feels like failure. With trust, every delay becomes another opportunity to strengthen your character. There is something beautiful about people who trust the process. They become difficult to discourage. They no longer depend on constant praise. They no longer require daily evidence. Their confidence comes from keeping promises to themselves. That kind of confidence cannot be taken away by temporary disappointment. Think about someone training for a marathon. On the first day, they cannot run 26 miles. The second day, they still cannot. Perhaps after 2 weeks, they notice only small improvements. If they judge themselves only by the final goal, they would quit. Instead, they trust each practice. Each run strengthens something invisible. The lungs become stronger. The heart becomes healthier. The muscles adapt. Progress happens quietly before it becomes obvious. Your emotional life grows the same way. Every time you choose patience over panic, something becomes stronger. Every time you replace criticism with compassion, something changes inside you. Every time you continue after disappointment, resilience grows. No one applauds those moments, yet they shape the person you become. One reason people chase results is because results feel measurable. You can count them. You can compare them. You can show them to others. The process is different. It is often private. Nobody sees your early morning discipline. Nobody hears the encouraging words you quietly speak to yourself. Nobody watches you choosing forgiveness instead of resentment. Yet these unseen decisions become the foundation for everything visible later. The universe seems to honor faithful effort. Not because every effort produces immediate success, because faithful effort changes the person making it. And when you change, your relationship with life changes. Opportunities begin looking different. People experience you differently. Challenges no longer frighten you in the same way. The process transforms you long before it transforms your circumstances. There is another danger in chasing results. Results are never permanent. You reach one goal. Soon another appears. You earn more money. Then you worry about keeping it. You complete one dream. Then you begin chasing the next one. If your happiness depends only on arriving somewhere, peace remains just beyond the next achievement. Trusting the process teaches a different way of living. It teaches you to value who you are becoming while moving toward what you desire. This creates lasting peace. You no longer postpone joy until everything is perfect. You discover purpose inside today's work. That changes everything. Today you can practice this in a simple way. Choose one important habit you have been building. Perhaps it is reading each morning. Perhaps it is exercising. Perhaps it is meditating. Perhaps it is speaking kindly to yourself. Now make a promise. For the next 30 days, you will perform that habit without measuring whether your life has changed. No daily evaluation. No constant checking. No asking whether it is working. Only faithful practice. Keep a calendar. Each day, place one simple mark after completing the habit. Do not measure results. Measure consistency. Tomorrow morning, when your mind asks whether all your effort matters, answer with one sentence. My responsibility is today's practice. Nothing more. Bring your attention back to the next faithful step. Complete today's work. Allow tomorrow to remain tomorrow. Throughout this week, notice how often you seek outside confirmation. Do you check your phone hoping someone noticed you? Do you wait for compliments before believing you are improving? Do you compare your progress with someone else's? Each time you notice yourself doing this, pause. Take one slow breath. Then ask yourself, did I keep my promise today? If the answer is yes, allow that to be enough. Self-respect grows when your own word becomes meaningful to you. You begin trusting yourself because you consistently show up. That trust becomes stronger than temporary approval. There was a man named David who wanted to become a writer. Every evening he wrote for 1 hour. After several months, almost nobody read his work. He felt discouraged. He wondered whether he should stop. Then he made one important decision. He stopped measuring success by readers. He measured success by pages written. Every evening he sat down. Every evening he kept his promise. Some nights the words flowed easily. Other nights they barely came. Still, he continued. Nearly 2 years passed before one article attracted attention. Then another. Eventually a publisher contacted him. People called him an overnight success. David smiled because he knew they had not seen the hundreds of quiet evenings when nobody was watching. The process had shaped him long before the results appeared. His greatest reward was not publication. It was becoming someone who trusted himself enough to continue. That lesson stayed with him for the rest of his life. The same lesson waits for you. Your daily habits are doing more than producing future results. They are creating your future identity. Each repeated action says, "This is who I am." Your subconscious listens carefully. It notices what you repeatedly do. If you consistently show up, your subconscious begins believing you are disciplined. If you consistently act with kindness, it begins believing you are compassionate. If you consistently choose courage, it begins believing you are brave. Identity becomes stronger than motivation. Motivation rises and falls. Identity remains. Some mornings you will not feel inspired. Practice anyway. Some evenings you will question your progress. Continue anyway. Some weeks life will become difficult. Remain faithful anyway. Your future does not depend on perfect emotions. It depends on repeated choices. This is where quiet strength is born. The strongest people are not always the most talented. Often they are simply the most consistent. They understand that extraordinary lives are usually built through ordinary actions, repeated with extraordinary faithfulness. The universe has its own timing. You cannot hurry sunrise. You cannot force spring to arrive in winter. You cannot pull a flower open before it is ready. Trying only damages what you hope to enjoy. Your life deserves the same patience. Allow your efforts to mature. Allow your character to deepen. Allow opportunities to arrive when preparation meets the right moment. Trust does not eliminate uncertainty. It changes your relationship with uncertainty. Instead of fearing the unknown, you begin respecting it. You understand that not everything meaningful can be planned. Some of life's greatest gifts arrive unexpectedly. A conversation, a friendship, a chance meeting, an opportunity. None of them can be forced. They can only be recognized by someone who has remained open. Trust keeps you open. Fear keeps you closed. Choose trust often enough, and your entire way of living begins to change. You stop rushing. You stop comparing. You stop demanding that life explain itself every day. Instead, you continue becoming the person you promised yourself you would become. That promise matters. Keep it. Protect it. Honor it. Because every time you do, your confidence grows quietly. Not from applause, not from results, from integrity. Tonight, before you fall asleep, release the need to measure how far you have come. Instead, ask yourself one honest question. Did you become a little more like the person you want to be today? If the answer is yes, rest peacefully. Then wake tomorrow and continue the process with the same quiet faith, knowing that the life you seek is already being built one faithful day at a time. Chapter 9. Awakening reveals the person you were meant to be. The morning feels different, but nothing outside has changed. The same walls surround you. The same streets wait beyond your front door. The same responsibilities remain on your calendar. Yet something inside you is quieter than it used to be. You notice that the familiar voice of fear still appears, but it no longer speaks with the same authority. You hear it. You acknowledge it. Then, for the first time in a long time, you choose not to follow it. That small moment may seem ordinary. It is not. It is the beginning of awakening. Many people think awakening is a single life-changing event. They expect lightning, a dramatic realization, a perfect moment that divides life into before and after. Sometimes life does offer moments like that. More often, awakening arrives gently. It enters through ordinary mornings, through quiet decisions, through the growing awareness that you no longer wish to live as the person fear created. Awakening is not becoming someone completely different. It is remembering who you were before fear convinced you to become someone smaller. That truth surprises many people. You do not need to invent a better self. You need to remove what has been covering the person already waiting inside you. Think about a mirror that has collected years of dust. The mirror never lost its ability to reflect. The reflection disappeared because something stood between the mirror and the light. Your true self works much the same way. Disappointment, self-doubt, comparison, old beliefs, painful memories. Each one leaves another layer behind. Eventually, you stop seeing yourself clearly. You begin identifying with the dust instead of the mirror. Awakening begins the moment you realize those layers are not your identity. They are experiences. They are habits. They are stories. They are not you. This changes everything. Because if fear is not your identity, it does not have to become your future. If failure is not your identity, it does not define your potential. If your past is not your identity, tomorrow becomes wide open again. The subconscious has been learning new patterns throughout everything you have practiced. Every kind thought, every patient response, every evening of reflection, every moment you questioned an old belief. Those small choices quietly created space inside you. Space where wisdom can finally be heard. Wisdom is different from fear. Fear demands immediate answers. Wisdom allows questions to breathe. Fear pushes. Wisdom guides. Fear rushes toward certainty. Wisdom moves with quiet confidence even when certainty has not fully arrived. Many people spend years searching outside themselves for permission. Permission to begin. Permission to dream. Permission to change. Permission to believe they deserve peace. Awakening gently removes that search. You stop waiting for someone else to approve the life you hope to build. You begin trusting the quiet knowing that has always lived inside you. This does not make you arrogant. It makes you honest. You stop pretending to be someone you are not. You stop shrinking so other people feel comfortable. You stop apologizing for wanting a meaningful life. Instead, you begin standing calmly in your own truth. Not loudly, not proudly, simply honestly. That honesty carries remarkable strength. The universe often responds to authenticity. When you stop performing for acceptance, your energy changes. You attract relationships built on truth instead of approval. You make decisions based on values instead of fear. You notice opportunities that match who you are becoming instead of who you used to be. Life begins feeling less like a struggle to prove yourself, more like an invitation to express yourself. This is not because the world suddenly becomes easier. Challenges remain, difficult conversations still happen, unexpected disappointment still arrives. Awakening does not remove life's storms, it changes who stands inside them. The frightened version of you believed every storm meant the end. The awakened version understands storms also clear the sky. Resilience replaces panic. Trust replaces constant control. Presence replaces endless worry. One of the greatest signs of awakening is how differently you respond to yourself after making a mistake. The old version immediately attacked. You failed again. You never change. You ruined everything. The awakened version pauses. It asks, what can I learn? What needs my attention? What choice can I make now? Notice the difference. One response creates shame. The other creates growth. Shame traps you in yesterday. Growth returns you to today. Awakening is not measured by how rarely you fall. It is measured by how gently you rise. There is another sign that often goes unnoticed. You begin feeling less interested in proving yourself to everyone. The need for constant validation slowly fades. Compliments become pleasant rather than necessary. Criticism becomes information rather than identity. You stop allowing every opinion to decide your worth. That freedom creates enormous peace. Imagine carrying a heavy backpack for years without realizing how much it weighed. One day you finally set it down. You feel lighter immediately. Not because the world became smaller, because you stopped carrying what was never yours. Awakening feels very similar. You release expectations that exhausted you. You release comparisons that diminished you. You release the belief that your value depends on performance. What remains is something beautifully simple: your presence, your integrity, your willingness to live honestly. Today there is a practice that can strengthen this awareness. Find a quiet place, bring a notebook, write this question at the top of the page. Who am I becoming when nobody is watching? Take your time. Do not write about achievements. Write about qualities. Perhaps you are becoming more patient, more courageous, more forgiving, more disciplined, more peaceful. Read those words slowly. Notice how they feel. These qualities are becoming the foundation of your life. Protect them. Tomorrow morning, begin your day without reaching for your phone. Instead, stand before a mirror for 1 minute. Look into your own eyes, not to judge yourself, simply to recognize yourself. Then, quietly say, I welcome the person I am becoming. Say it only once. Mean it completely. Allow that sentence to become your first conversation of the day. Throughout this week, practice making one decision every day based on your deeper values instead of temporary emotions. Perhaps you choose honesty even when it feels uncomfortable. Perhaps you remain patient instead of reacting. Perhaps you continue working even without immediate recognition. Every decision becomes another expression of your true identity. Identity grows through choices, not wishes. There was a man named Samuel who spent most of his life trying to become the person everyone expected. His parents wanted one career, his friends admired another lifestyle, his co-workers rewarded endless busyness. Samuel quietly ignored the voice inside himself for many years. He became successful by almost every visible standard, yet each evening he felt strangely empty. One weekend he took a long walk alone, without music or distractions. For the first time in years, he listened instead of planning. He realized something simple. He had spent decades building a life that impressed other people while neglecting the life that felt true to him. He did not change everything overnight. He made one honest decision, then another. He began volunteering on weekends because serving others brought him peace. He returned to painting, something he had loved as a child. He spoke more honestly with the people closest to him. His income remained the same for quite a while. His address did not change. But everyone who knew him noticed one thing: he seemed alive again. That was awakening. Not dramatic. Not loud. Simply real. The person he was meant to be had been waiting patiently beneath years of expectation. Your life carries that same possibility. There is a version of you that does not depend on fear for direction. A version that trusts without becoming careless. A version that acts without demanding perfection. A version that gives without constantly asking what it will receive in return. That version is already growing. You have been feeding it through every quiet practice, through every thoughtful evening, through every patient morning, through every faithful step. Do not become discouraged if you still experience doubt. Awakening does not eliminate fear forever. It changes your relationship with fear. Fear becomes a visitor instead of a ruler. It knocks. You hear it. You choose whether to open the door. Most days you simply smile, thank it for trying to protect you, and continue walking. That is freedom. Freedom is not the absence of uncertainty. Freedom is choosing your direction despite uncertainty. The universe seems to meet people differently when they begin living from authenticity, not because life suddenly rewards them with endless comfort, because authentic people notice opportunities hidden behind appearances. They recognize meaningful connections. They trust timing without becoming passive. They remain open without becoming naive. Their lives become less about proving worth and more about expressing it. As your awakening deepens, you will discover something unexpected. The life you once desperately chased begins coming toward you in quieter ways. Not because you forced it, because you finally became the person capable of receiving it. Your peace becomes stronger than your fear. Your purpose becomes stronger than your excuses. Your presence becomes stronger than your past. That is not the end of growth. It is the beginning of living with awareness instead of habit. Tonight, before you fall asleep, sit quietly for a few moments, without trying to improve yourself. Simply notice who you are becoming. Notice the patience you have built. Notice the courage you have practiced. Notice the peace that now visits more often than before. Then thank yourself for choosing growth again today, and wake tomorrow ready to live as the person you have been revealing all along. Chapter 10. You wake as the new version of yourself. You open your eyes before the alarm rings. For a moment, everything is quiet. The room has not changed. The weather outside is the same. Your responsibilities are still waiting. Yet something feels different. You notice it before you can explain it. Your first thought is no longer fear. Your first instinct is no longer to doubt yourself. Instead of wondering how you will survive the day, you quietly ask yourself how you will live it. That small change is easy to overlook, yet it is one of the greatest signs that your life has already begun to transform. Many people expect becoming a new person to feel dramatic. They expect fireworks, a perfect morning, an overwhelming feeling of confidence. Life rarely changes that way. The deepest transformations often arrive so quietly that you almost miss them. One day you simply realize that the thought which used to control you no longer has the same power. The situation that once frightened you now feels manageable. The criticism that once ruined your week now lasts only a few minutes. The mistake that once convinced you to quit now becomes another lesson. Nothing magical happened overnight. You changed through faithful repetition. This is how real transformation usually works. You did not wake up as a different person because yesterday disappeared. You woke up because yesterday no longer controls who you become today. There is an important difference between changing your circumstances and changing yourself. Circumstances can improve while old fears remain. A better job cannot remove self-doubt. More money cannot create inner peace. A healthier relationship cannot heal beliefs you still carry about your own worth. Real change begins inside. Once the inside changes, the outside slowly follows. That is why everything you have practiced matters. Every quiet evening, every patient morning, every kind word you spoke to yourself, every old belief you questioned, every moment you chose faith instead of fear. None of those moments were wasted. They became the foundation beneath your new life. Many people never see this foundation because they only celebrate visible achievements. Yet buildings remain standing because of what cannot be seen. The strongest roots remain underground. The most important changes inside you have followed the same pattern. You have been strengthening your character. Character is quieter than success, but it lasts much longer. Character stays with you when applause disappears. Character remains when circumstances become difficult. Character allows you to begin again without losing yourself. That is the person you have been becoming. Not someone perfect, someone steady. Steadiness is one of life's greatest gifts. It means your emotions no longer control every decision. It means disappointment no longer destroys your hope. It means success no longer becomes your identity. You remain grounded through both victory and struggle. That kind of peace cannot be purchased. It cannot be borrowed. It can only be practiced. Think back to the person you were before you began changing your inner world. Perhaps you judged yourself constantly. Perhaps you rushed through every day believing happiness would finally arrive after one more achievement. Perhaps you searched for approval in every conversation. Perhaps you believed your mistakes defined you. That person deserved compassion, not criticism. That version of you was doing the best it knew how to do. Fear taught it many lessons. Some were useful, many were not. There is no reason to hate the person you used to be. Without that version of yourself, you would never have recognized the importance of becoming someone different. Honor your past. Do not live inside it. One of the greatest signs of growth is gratitude for lessons that once felt painful. You stop asking why difficult things happened. You begin asking what they prepared you to become. That question changes everything. Instead of seeing your struggles as evidence that life was against you, you begin seeing them as opportunities that strengthened qualities you could not have developed any other way. Patience often grows through waiting. Compassion often grows through suffering. Courage often grows through uncertainty. Trust often grows through seasons when nothing seems to change. The universe has a remarkable way of preparing people before placing them where they are meant to serve. Sometimes preparation feels uncomfortable. Sometimes it feels slow. Sometimes it feels lonely. Yet looking back, you realize those seasons built the strength you now depend upon. The person you are becoming could not exist without everything you practiced. This does not mean every painful experience was good. Some moments should never have happened. Some words should never have been spoken. Some losses leave permanent marks. Healing does not require pretending those experiences were pleasant. Healing means refusing to allow them to write the rest of your story. You become stronger than what happened to you, not because you forget it, because you stop allowing it to decide who you are. There is another beautiful truth waiting here. You no longer need to chase the version of yourself you admire. You can simply become that person through today's choices. Identity is built one decision at a time. Every patient response says, "I am becoming peaceful." Every honest conversation says, "I am becoming courageous." Every promise you keep to yourself says, "I am becoming courageous." The future is built through ordinary moments, not extraordinary ones. Today, there is one final practice that can help you protect everything you have built. Take out a notebook one last time. Write a letter to the person you used to be. Begin with these words. Thank you. Thank yourself for surviving difficult days. Thank yourself for refusing to quit. Thank yourself for continuing even when progress felt invisible. Then write about the person you are becoming. Describe that person in detail. Not by achievements, by qualities. Perhaps you write, "You are calm under pressure. You speak with kindness. You trust yourself. You live honestly. You remain patient." Read those words slowly. Notice how different they feel from the old story you once repeated. Tomorrow morning, begin your day with one simple habit. Before your feet touch the floor, place your hand over your heart. Take one slow breath. Then quietly say, "Today I will live as the person I have been becoming." Nothing more. Carry those words into your morning. Allow your actions to follow them. Throughout this week, whenever you face a decision, pause for one moment. Ask yourself, what would the strongest version of me choose right now? Not the perfect version, the strongest version. Strength is not harsh. Strength is calm. Strength tells the truth. Strength remains patient. Strength chooses long-term peace over short-term comfort. Allow that question to guide your next step. Little by little, it becomes natural. There was a woman named Rebecca who spent years believing she would only feel confident after reaching all of her goals. She postponed happiness until everything improved. Each achievement brought temporary excitement. Soon, another goal appeared. She remained exhausted because she believed peace always belonged somewhere ahead of her. One evening, she realized something simple. She had been living as though life would begin later. The next morning, she made a different choice. Instead of waiting to feel successful, she practiced gratitude before breakfast. Instead of criticizing herself after mistakes, she asked what she could learn. Instead of rushing through conversations, she gave people her full attention. Months later, her career improved. Her relationships became stronger. Her health became better. But when someone asked what changed her life, she smiled. "It wasn't the results," she said. "It was the person I became while I was waiting for them." That is the quiet secret of lasting transformation. You spend so much time hoping life will change. Then one day you realize that you changed first. Life simply began reflecting the person you had become. That reflection continues every day. Not because you are perfect, because you now choose your direction with awareness instead of habit. There will still be difficult mornings. Fear may still visit. Unexpected disappointment will still appear. The difference is that those experiences no longer introduce you to yourself. You already know who you are. You have practiced becoming that person. Your peace is no longer fragile. Your confidence is no longer borrowed from other people's opinions. Your hope no longer depends on perfect circumstances. It grows from something much deeper. It grows from integrity, from discipline, from trust, from the quiet relationship you have built with yourself. That relationship becomes the greatest gift you carry into every season of life. The universe may continue surprising you. Some opportunities will arrive exactly as you hoped. Others will arrive in forms you never expected. Welcome both. Stay open. Stay humble. Stay faithful to the principles that brought you here. Protect your mornings. Honor your evenings. Speak carefully to your subconscious. Trust the process, even when progress feels invisible. Practice detachment while remaining devoted to your purpose. Return to gratitude often. Choose kindness before judgment. Choose courage before comfort. Choose presence before worry. Above all, remember that the person you have become is not the end of your growth. Growth never truly ends. Each sunrise offers another invitation. Another opportunity to become wiser. Another opportunity to become more peaceful. Another opportunity to become more fully yourself. As you move forward, you may discover that the greatest miracle was never changing your life overnight. The greatest miracle was changing the quiet voice inside you. Because once that voice changed, your choices changed. Your habits changed. Your relationships changed. Your future changed. And one ordinary morning, without even realizing when it happened, you opened your eyes and greeted the world as someone who no longer lived in fear, but in quiet trust. So when you wake tomorrow, do not ask whether you are a different person. Live as though you already are. Walk with the calm you have practiced. Speak with the kindness you have repeated. Make decisions from the wisdom you have cultivated. Trust the life you are building one faithful day at a time, and keep becoming the person who has been waiting within you all along.